Well, this time I want to share with us our history bit for today. Bless his name. And the history bit that we're going to provide is going to be coming from a section in the book that I've written called The Scattering of Israel. And in one of the chapters of the book, it is concerning the present day Israelites. That's what it is concerning. The present day Israelites. Among the many chapters that I have written, I began by noting where the Israelites went after they were scattered. And then I present information regarding who the present day Israelites are based upon where they went. And I'm not going to read the entire chapter, but I want to just read a subsection of the chapter, and it is regarding the Palestinians. The Palestinians. And so in this portion of the chapter, it reads thus: Palestinians of the present day are of Israelite origin. While not commonly known or discussed, the ancestors of the Palestinians were the remnant of Israelites composed of Judeans and Samaritans that remained in the land of Israel after the Jewish, Roman, or Bar Kokhba revolt, which was in 132 through 135 CE. How many are familiar with the Bar Kokhba war that occurred? The last great war between Rome and the Judean Israelites that were in the land of Israel. With the rise of Orthodox Christianity came the conversion of many Israelites to this Messianic Judaic faith community. However, centuries later, the spread of Islamic control over Palestine caused a gradual conversion of most of the Israelites in Palestine to Islam. During the period of the Fatimid era, the El Hakim Edict was enforced in 1012 CE. This edict forced all Israelites and Christians to convert to Islam or leave Palestine. The non-Israelite Christians left Palestine. However, 90% of the remaining Judean, Samaritans, and Judaic Christians converted to Islam. Now those three groups of people that I just mentioned, Judeans, Samaritans, and Judaic Christians who converted to Islam, these are all descendants of the Judean Israelites and those who were of the Samaritans that had remained from the 1st and 2nd century. I want you to make special note of that. Some Judeans returned to practicing Judaism when the edict was repealed. Yet many remained Muslims as a means of economic survival to enjoy a better life during the time of Islamic control. Non-Muslims under Islamic authority had to pay the tax of the Gizya and Kahraj. Also, they were not allowed to work in the government or sell produce to foreigners. Over time, they became Arabized in culture and language. As a result of being acculturated, they have become the present-day Arab Palestinians. Let me pause for a moment. How many of you ever heard of the term Arab Palestinians? How many of you heard that term? All right. Most who use that term are completely unaware of this history of the Palestinian people that live in the land of Israel. It is assumed by many that they are simply Arab Muslims, but that is not the case. This is their history. The history of the Israelite origins of the Palestinians can be further validated by Zevi Mizina in his book, Brother Shall Not Lift Up Sword Against Brother. This individual is an Ashkenazi Israeli who wrote this book. For those who are not familiar, the people who are very familiar with the region and who have lived in the land and know the various peoples in the region are well informed about the origins of the Palestinian people. This particular individual wrote this book. Notice what it says: brother shall not lift up sword against brother. And this is with reference to the issues that are present concern going on today. A respected leader of the local Palestinian community in Gaza by the name of Ali Jida stated that, and I quote, "Before we were Muslims or the Islams, we were Jews." And this is in a video recorded interview that was held. Also, there is testimony of Israelite heritage noted by David Ben-Gurion. Who is familiar with the name David Ben-Gurion? I think we all who know about the founding of the state of Israel know about David Ben-Gurion. David Ben-Gurion, the founding father and first prime minister of the state of Israel, in an article of the Times of Israel, it notes that David Ben-Gurion knew that the Palestinians were descendants of Jews. Let's read the following. This is in an article of the Times of Israel. And for those who might not be familiar with the Times of Israel, this is one of the major newspaper media outlets, one of the major ones. And this is what it says, quote, "In 1956, the PM or Prime Minister David Ben-Gurion sent Moshe Dayan with a rabbi to start giving lessons in Judaism to Bedouins in the Negev. Was Ben-Gurion suddenly struck with missionary zeal? He was just acting on knowledge that he and Yitzhak Ben Zevi, the president, has talked about for years. Most of what we now call Palestinian Arabs are descendants of Jews. Among the Bedouin, that could reach 100%. And this was written in an article called "Most Palestinians Are Descendants of Jews in the Times of Israel." And this was written in 8/21/2016. Along with this, there is evidence noted in the book, quote, "Understanding the Israelite Samaritans," which is a book that I have, concerning the Israelite heritage of the Palestinians. The author, Binyamin Tzaka, states that the Palestinians are descendants of the Jews and Samaritans. They have been in the land of Palestine for 2 millennia. Note, the term Samaritan was coined by the Assyrians to refer to the Samaritans. He notes that the Palestinians share the same DNA as the ancient Jews and Samaritans. The author is by far the most credible and trustworthy witness, since he is an elder of repute in the Israelite Samaritan community in Israel. The Israelite Samaritans have a history of remaining in the land of Israel/Palestine for over 2,500 years. Therefore, Benjamin Zadokah's testimony reveals the history of the Palestinians having a connection both directly and indirectly with the Samaritan Israelites. This history is of great value, revealing that the Palestinians are the children of Israel under a prophetic call of return to the Most High. I wanted to share this with us on today as a word of historical information, and also in light of what we see happening in the world around us. There is great polarization within the framework of the Messianic Israelite community, because there are many who have ties to the state of Israel and have been told that the Palestinian people are simply Arabs. And since they are Arabs practicing Islam, they are, and I'm looking for the right word to say, but they are not to be regarded. They are out of the plan of Elohim, and whatever the state of Israel is doing is by far okay with the Almighty. However, I myself, as a Messianic Israelite, I am a teacher of truth, and I've always been one in my approach never to side with popular view or popular opinion. I've never been that way and will never be that way. But I am one who looks at the Torah first. I read all of the books of the prophets. I discover first what it is that Yahuwah's purposes are and how he's going to accomplish it. And what I discover when I read in the scriptures is that the Almighty has determined that he's going to gather the house of Israel from all of the nations of the earth by Messiah himself alone. And after Messiah conquers his enemies, then will establish his kingdom in Jerusalem with the entire populations of the Israelites that he has gathered from the four corners of the earth. And so my opinion is always based upon the final outcome of what the Most High has determined. And all who live in the land must follow Torah, must follow the practices of Torah and do those things that are written in the Torah. And if not, their place in the land will not be long, because the land in and of itself, being Elohim's land, will only allow those who practice Torah to be in it. And so, being a person of history, being a person who's not afraid to read everything, and also not afraid to stand against those who might be of the populace, I have found issues with the current Zionist state of Israel. I am not a Zionist. I want everybody to know that. And I'm not saying that the brethren over there are not Jews. There are brothers who have serious issues with the ethnic proof of that. However, I'm not going into the ethnic proof at all. I'm only dealing plainly with what the Torah says with regard to those who would be in the land. I do feel very strongly, closely in my view with those Jews who call themselves the Neturi Karta. How many of you ever heard of the Neturi Karta? Well, if you have not heard of them, they regard themselves as the keepers of the religion. That's what the term refers to. They hold to a very ancient view of what Orthodox Judaism really is. The greater majority of Judaism refers to them as ultra-Orthodox Jews. How many of you heard of the ultra-Orthodox Jews? So these ultra-Orthodox Jews do not believe in the state of Israel at all having any place or right in the land, because the prophets have declared only HaMashiach can bring Israel back to the land, not what they call a Messianic age, not by force through Zionism. And for the record, and you can read this, those who are the leaders of Zionism, the originators of Zionism in the late 1800s under Theodore Herzl. How many of you ever heard of Theodore Herzl? Those individuals were not Torah observant. Theodore Herzl was an atheist. Their goals and their objectives had nothing to do with keeping the Torah and carrying out what the Torah says. I'm just giving you some tidbits. But of course, the Neturi Karta, this ultra-Orthodox branch of Judaism, is very forthright in their vehemence against Zionism. And so, in light of all of what is going on today, it is important that we really understand who the Palestinian people are. Many within the world that see what's going on could not care whether the Palestinian people were of Israelite stock or not. They just see that there appears to be an injustice because of what the Zionist state has done over the past 70 years of occupation. From what we are sharing and what we are teaching, we teach from the base of what the scriptures present. And what the scriptures present is that you have two peoples in the land that are of Israelite stock. And what's going on is a terrible thing that's going on. But what should not be going on amongst the body of HaMashiach is the division over something that we really do not have full understanding about. And so it behooves us to pray. It behooves us to pray for the Palestinians, because there is a promise upon them to return back to their Elohim through HaMashiach, just as it is for all other peoples who are of Israelite stock, that the prophecies of Scripture have declared that they are to return back to HaMashiach. And I'll leave that there with us for today. Bless the Almighty.